What is going on, guys? My name is Tim Rustwick. Today we're talking about a fun topic called the Indiepocalypse. Now, this has come up a lot for me. This has come up in comments. This has come up in emails. This has come up in tweets. I've had Skype chats and communications with some very high up people in the indie industry. I'm not going to name names, but lots of people believe that this is happening. If you go onto Steam Spy and you see the amount of titles that have been released in the last 6 months or last year versus the last 10 years, you see a load of shit. If you look at the sales are going down, titles are going up. If you look at a series of things that are happening in the industry, shit's changing, right? Steam opened up Steam Direct, so you no longer need social proof. You no longer need to prove to Steam that your game is worthwhile with community support, with votes, with random people telling Steam that your game is good. But now you can literally just pay $100 and get on Steam. So people are calling this the Indiepocalypse, the end of indie games, the fall of these creations and the space that they exist in. I think part of why this is happening, first of all, before I state my opinion on it, is because when Indie Game the movie came out, it was a big, massive success. But it also highlighted a series of successful games. Braid, Super Meat Boy, Fez, all those different games, they had commercial success. Now, whether they had commercial success, which helped the movie, or the movie helped them have commercial success, it depends on a lot of different stuff. But I think one thing is very clear. Those two things are connected, right? And that movie was made at a time when the industry was very different, when Xbox was just opening up to indies, just starting to take them seriously, when, Steam was in its infancy, a lot of different things were changed. If you made a good game back then, you would get noticed because Steam made sure of it, right? Steam used to guarantee the amount of views you get. Microsoft does the same thing. They used to guarantee the amount of exposure you would get based on whatever deal you had with them. Now, people think the Indiepocalypse is coming. They think it's the end of all that. And for sure, in one way, it is. It is harder than ever to get exposure. Steam does not guarantee views anymore. Steam Direct is easier to get on than ever, which means there's more shit than ever, which means that if your game ends up on Steam or anywhere else, there's more stuff to wade through. The digital economy is changing. If you look at like Destiny 2, for example, this was the first game in history where the first major game launch where more than 50% of the sales were digital. So everything's moving digital. All things are moving digital, and there's so much digital shit now, it's really hard to wade through the kind of, swamp that's out there. So, do I believe in the Indiepocalypse? No. I don't think this is the end of indie games. I do think this is the end of an era. I do think things are shifting. Things are changing. But change, I think, is good. If, I come from the startup world. And if there's one thing that I've noticed is that, shaking things up a little bit leads to a lot of innovation. It leads to a lot of crazy, cool, fun, wild rides. The problem is nobody knows what those wild rides are yet. Nobody knows what avenues there are, it's just things are not the same thing they were 5-10 years ago. If you put a really good looking game on Kickstarter, it's not a guarantee that it's going to get it up there. If you put a really good looking game on Steam, not a guarantee that you're going to go anywhere with it. So that is not enough anymore. And I happen to think that's a good thing. Because I think the people that can craft their ability to get exposure and their ability to build an audience and their ability to kind of stand out, I think are going to do better than ever because people are getting tired of a bunch of shit everywhere. But I think the average people that are not aware of how to get exposure, are not aware of how to build a following and how to do that stuff, they're going to fall behind. Now, look, you're on this channel because I like to speak my mind, and I'm going to be honest with you. Like, if you suck at marketing, your game's probably not going to do well. Can it do well? Sure. But this is a skill that you have to learn. This is not just a game development skill. This is a life skill. Marketing applies to all avenues of life. It applies to getting a job. It applies to meeting a girlfriend, a boyfriend. It applies to like introducing yourself to people. It applies to like, you know, interacting with anybody, getting anything that you want from anybody. And I say it sounds like manipulation when I say that, but that's not what I mean. I mean that the way you present yourself, the way you state your message, understanding who you're stating your message to, understanding their wants, needs, and desires, understanding how that message is going to be delivered and when they're going to receive it and how they're going to receive it. All of those are core marketing concepts, and they can drastically change the way that you interact with people. When you get marketing right, you can do anything. It's like a superpower, right? Not now. Some marketing is more effective than others, right? And we're gonna watch me do this live because I have a game coming out in February, and I went back and forth on whether or not I put it on Steam because Steam is in a bad place right now. Since Steam Direct, there's more titles coming. I believe I have to look at the numbers, but last time I looked at it, I think there are more titles that came out this year than the last 5 or 6 years combined. So, you know, it's in a weird place. I was debating doing something really weird and crazy of going web only, going just a URL and there's the game. Trying to figure out how to monetize that. I'm still debating doing some weird marketing stuff, but I am attempting to do a series of different things that all you guys are going to watch me either succeed or fail on. For one, the game is Philophobia, The Fear of Love. It's releasing on Valentine's Day. There's that. I think you can get a lot of exposure just based on that little thing right there. It's a game about love coming out on Valentine's Day. I think that's going to get me a lot of exposure. Second, I'm already connecting with a series of people, you know, doing all sorts of different things. YouTubers, streamers, all kinds of people. I've sent out tons of different emails already. I've interacted with a bunch of people. I've been building relationships for the past 6 months to a year. Third, you know, and this was actually completely unintentional, but I have you guys. I built an audience on YouTube, and, you know, that spawned a series of testers and a whole bunch of people that have helped me out drastically. And it's given me some exposure for my game as well. So there are a series of different things that I'm trying, but I want to point out that I don't believe that this is an unwinnable war. I think it's going to be hard, even for a dude that ran a marketing company. I think it's going to be very hard. It's not an easy thing to do, and it's going to be complicated. If you're launching a game, dude, you got a long trail ahead of you, and you got to be prepared for the amount of work that it's going to take, especially now because there's so much shit in the market. You have to stand out. You have to do something to stand out. And my attempt, whether it's successful or not, I'll share it with you guys, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit from it. I'm still learning how all this is working too, but I do not believe in the Indiepocalypse. I do not believe in the end of indie games. I do not believe that this is the end of indie games as we know it. I do think this is a shift. This is a shift in how we get them, how we buy them, how we find them. I think we're undergoing a drastic shift in our society right now. Everything's moving more towards social media, towards YouTube and Twitch, towards influencers, curators, less about visibility, more about trust. So, you know, it's a weird place right now, and I think the way you market a game is different than you would have marketed it, you know, year, 2, 3 years ago, especially 10 years ago, you know, so you just got to keep that in mind. Don't look at it as the end. Don't get discouraged and think like, oh, should have released the game 2 years ago. Oh, I should have released the game, you know, on Greenlight or whatever. There's a lot of stuff that's working out in the good, you know, direction. Xbox and PS4 are opening up their indie programs. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity there. AR and VR are starting to mature. I think there's going to be opportunity there. Mobile is definitely starting to mature. We're starting to see the rise of some more complex mobile games. I don't think it's an Indiepocalypse. I think this is a transformation. I think this is a shift in what games we consume, how games are found, and, you know, I have hope. I have positivity. I have a belief that good games are going to get found, but I think it is a responsibility of the developer to get exposure and get out there. And I'm sorry if you think marketing is cheating, or you don't believe in marketing, or you don't want to be salesy or whatever, you're going to have a hard time, man. If you're making a game in a cave, nobody's going to know it exists. So it's your responsibility to make that happen. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's very complicated. Yes, it's time consuming. I know. I did it professionally. I'm still doing it. And I'm still surprised at how hard it is. Even with the experience that I have, I'm still like, whoa, this is so much work. I still get that way. But I want to give you guys hope. I want to say that I don't believe in the Indiepocalypse. I think it's the beginning of something new. We'll find out what. But if you got any comments on this, if you have any opinions on this, let me know. I know this is probably a strong topic, and we're going to go back and forth in the comments section. But I love to hear from you guys, so leave me a comment below. Once again, I'm Tim Roswick, and I will see you tomorrow.